Right now, more US dollars are traded in London than in the United States. Not some dollars, twice as many, every single trading day. A country that runs on sterling, a financial district smaller than most airports, doing half the world's dollar business. That is not a coincidence. That is a system. And to understand it, you have to go back to the moment Britain decided it was better to run the rules than to run the territory. Because what replaced the physical empire was something harder to see, harder to resist, and, as we're about to find out, harder to dismantle. For 300 years, the British Empire was the largest the world had ever seen. At its peak, it covered a quarter of the Earth's land surface. Raw materials flowed in, manufactured goods flowed out, and the City of London sat at the center, financing all of it. Every trade route needed capital. Every colony needed a bank. The city didn't just fund the empire, it was the empire's financial engine. But physical empires have a problem. They are expensive. Soldiers, governors, the constant projection of force, and they attract resistance. By 1945, 2 world wars had broken the machine. Britain's debt had reached nearly 250% of its economy. The country that financed the world now needed a loan from it. Then came Suez, 1956. Britain moved militarily to reclaim the canal from Egypt. The United States, opposed, threatened to sell its sterling reserves. The pound would have collapsed in days. London backed down in 48 hours. That moment taught the city something it never forgot: physical force. That era was closing. Financial leverage. That was still wide open. Here's what makes this remarkable. While Britain was losing colonies, India, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, something else was quietly happening in 1 square mile of London. The city was building a new kind of empire. No flags, no armies, no governors. Just contracts, capital, and 800 years of institutional gravity. Because the city is not like anywhere else on Earth. The City of London Corporation has governed that square mile since at least the 12th century. It predates Parliament. It has its own police force separate from the rest of London. Its own Lord Mayor received abroad with near diplomatic honors. And here's the part that stops people cold. In every other British election, residents vote. In City of London Corporation elections, businesses vote. And the more employees a company stations in the square mile, the more votes it gets. This isn't hidden. It's actually published on the corporation's own website. The institution was designed from its medieval origins to represent capital, and it has been doing exactly that for 800 years. That isn't corruption, that's continuity. Here's where it stops being a history lesson and starts being a system. The city didn't just host banks. It built the infrastructure that global finances runs on. Lloyd's of London, underwriting global shipping since 1688. Without Lloyd's, cargo doesn't move, tankers don't sail. The London Metal Exchange, where the global price of copper, aluminum, and zinc gets set. Every metal transaction on Earth is benchmarked here. Euroclear and Clearstream, the plumbing through which hundreds of trillions in global bonds settle, built from London. And sitting above all of them, LIBOR, the London Interbank Offered Rate, the interest rate that priced 300 trillion in global contracts, mortgages, loans, derivatives, set daily by a panel of banks in the square mile, not by governments, not by central banks, by a gentleman's agreement. The empire didn't end. It just stopped using maps. And now, here's where the system clicks together. By the 1950s, something unusual was appearing in London banks. US dollars, arriving from Soviet institutions, Chinese trading firms, and international companies that held American currency but did not want it sitting inside the US banking system, visible to US authorities. Think about what that means. At the height of the Cold War, the money of both sides was routing through the same square mile, because the city sold one thing above all: neutrality. It would hold the world's capital, and it would not ask whose side you were on. This became the Eurodollar market, offshore dollars outside Federal Reserve control. We covered the full mechanics on the Eurodollar video, link is above. By the 1980s, it was the largest pool of stateless capital on Earth, all of it intermediated through London. That is why, today, twice as many dollars trade in London as in America. The city didn't capture it from anyone. It built the infrastructure, and the world became dependent on it. The square mile doesn't operate alone. Around it sits a network. Crown dependencies, Jersey, Guernsey, the Isle of Man, overseas territories, the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, the British Virgin Islands. Each offers legal framework built specifically for international capital. The British Virgin Islands registers over 40% of the world's offshore companies. The Cayman Islands hold roughly $5 trillion in assets. Jersey manages nearly 1.4 trillion pounds in funds. And the city sits at the center. The clearinghouse, the legal anchor, the place disputes get settled. Not built by force, built by being better at the infrastructure of money than anywhere else on Earth. But here is the clearest proof of how deep this ran. For decades, every morning, a handful of banks in London submitted a single number. From it came LIBOR, the London Interbank Offered Rate. At its peak, LIBOR was referenced in an estimated $300 trillion of contracts, mortgages, corporate loans, derivatives across every country on Earth. The price of money for the entire world was set in London. Not Washington, not Frankfurt, London. And now, the crack appears. In 2012, it emerged that major banks had been manipulating those submissions for years, adjusting them to benefit their own trading positions. The gentleman's agreement had been a lie. Barclays paid $453 million in fines. UBS, Deutsche Bank, Citigroup, JP Morgan, global banks ultimately paid over $9 billion. Traders went to prison. Regulators wound LIBOR down. In 2023, US dollar LIBOR was switched off for good. Its replacement? SOFR, administered not in London, but by the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. For the first time in this story, a core piece of the world's financial infrastructure moved out of the city, which raises the question the rest of this video is really about. Can it happen again? By every other measure, the city has never been stronger. The UK handles 38% of all global foreign exchange, more than the US, Singapore, Hong Kong, and Japan combined. It holds the largest share of cross-border bank lending of any country on Earth. And in 2024, Britain's trade surplus in financial services was £127 billion, from a country whose factories have been closing for 50 years. That is the invisible empire. No territory, no flags, just the largest money market on the planet, running from a city smaller than most airports. So let's read the system. Britain lost its physical empire because territory became too expensive to hold. But before the last colony was gone, the city had already built the replacement: stateless capital, offshore nodes, and institutions older than Parliament, able to route the world's money without a single soldier. The LIBOR scandal showed us the first crack, a piece of pricing infrastructure that had lived in London since 1969 moved to New York in 2023. Now, the second pressure is building. In our video, the US just replaced the petrodollar and nobody noticed. We covered the Genius Act, signed in 2025, federally regulated digital dollars that move anywhere on Earth without banks, without SWIFT, without correspondent banking. Here's what that means for the city specifically. The city's entire value is as an intermediary. It makes money on the friction, the settlement, the clearing, the legal enforcement of moving capital between jurisdictions. Programmable money running on digital rails doesn't need an intermediary. A business in Lagos can settle a dollar transaction in Singapore without touching a London correspondent bank. The friction disappears, and with it, the city's reason to exist in that transaction. For 70 years, the offshore dollar needed the city. A US-controlled digital dollar might not. The question was never whether the city survives. It has outlived every monetary order since the 16th century. The question is now which network it attaches itself to next, because that is what it has always done. Not run the empire, but run the money that paid for it. Empires don't end with a single event. They end with 1,000 small reroutes, each one individually survivable, collectively irreversible. The British Empire ended not when the last colony gained independence. It ended when the last transaction stopped needing London to clear it. That process took a century with the physical empire. With the financial one, the clock is moving faster. Because the moment capital finds a route that doesn't need the intermediary doesn't slow down, it becomes optional. And in finance, optional means over. Read the system, not the headline. See you next week. If this gave you a clearer picture of how the world actually works, hit the subscribe button below. We do one of these every week. Drop a comment with the system you want broken down next. We read every one. If this was worth your time, hit the like. It is the single biggest thing that helps the channel reach more people who care about this. Read the system, not the headline. See you next week.